Jonathan James McCarthy is a mythological figure. I have tracked this man because he led my Michigan Wolverines to the national title. And so I knew he was made of the right stuff. But when I did my quarterback evaluations going into the 2024 draft, I wanted to be as unbiased as possible, knowing I was going to be biased. I watched a bunch of tape on the kid, and I came out saying, great arm strength, tremendous athlete. Everyone says, oh, there's not a big enough sample size. But then those Mitch Trubisky starts 1 year in college. That's not too small of a sample size to take him second overall. They do this. Zach Wilson started 1 year. That's not too small of a sample size. But oh no, he's a handoff merchant. All he can do is hand off the ball. He's not that good. And then you got people like Greg Cosell with his evaluation saying, oh, he's got pedestrian arm strength and he's not much of an athlete. And then you got clowns like Colin Cowherd that got the balls, the stones to go on national TV and parrot what Greg Cosell says without watching a single shred of a second of tape for himself. And he, to this day, continues to push out this false narrative that he's got a weak arm and he's not much of an athlete. It's a blatant lie. If you watch the tape, he's got a live arm. He has the second highest recorded velocity on a ball thrown at the combine in combine history. We're talking about over 40 years. That's not a weak arm. You saw him scramble for that third touchdown. Does that look like not an athlete to you? No, it does not. But when I was sold on J.J. McCarthy, was watching the interviews, hearing him talk about how at 18 years old, he was dealing – he might have been 17, to be completely honest. As a senior in high school, he had just moved to Florida to go to the IMG Academy. The pandemic hits. He's all alone. You can't go out. You can't do anything. He got depressed for the first time in his life. So he sought out answers to his problem, and he landed on meditation. I didn't start meditating until I was damn near 30 years old. Literally the week I turned 30 is when I started meditating. This dude at 17, 18 years old sought out a solution to his problem. He's an old soul. He's wise beyond his years. He's tremendously mature. He's one of those guys you meet and you're like, there's no way this guy is actually this good of a dude. But he is. He's genuine. You feel the genuine vibe from him. And everyone who he meets, everyone who talks with him for 5 minutes, plays a snap of football with him, they say the same thing. The kid is legit. And I said, you can measure arm strength. You can measure all the measurables. You can look at, the arm talent. Oh, he's 6'5". He could throw the ball 70 yards across his body all the way down the field to the other side of the field. That shit matters to a degree. But the intangibles are what win you championships. And they say, you can't measure it, so we can't scout that. That's bullshit. You can't measure it, but you can perceive it. And that's what I perceived when I said J.J. McCarthy is the best player coming out of this draft. He is the best quarterback in this draft. He is the one. He is the next Tom Brady. He is the guy. And I willed it into existence. J.J. McCarthy was manifesting. He wanted to go to Minnesota. He interviewed with all the teams. He said, Kevin O'Connell's my guy. Minnesota is the spot. He manifested himself to Minnesota. I meditated every day manifesting J.J. McCarthy to the Minnesota Vikings and trading up with the New York Jets to the number 10 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. The Minnesota Vikings select J.J. McCarthy, quarterback, Michigan. And I said, he's going to be the guy. And I had to wait 1.5 years. I had to be patient. It's like you open your present on Christmas and they say, you're going to go on a cruise, but you're not going on the cruise until next summer. You got to wait. You want your present now, but you're patient because you know that cruise is going to be fantastic. And oh, baby, was the cruise fantastic. Maybe not for the first 3 quarters, but by the end of the night, the cruise was cruising, baby. At halftime, Kevin O'Connell, they get the late field goal. Big leg Bill, Will the Thrill Reichard with a 59-yarder on first down. just bangs it through no problem. This shit would have been good from 75 yards probably. So shouts out the big leg Bill. But you go in, you're down. It's been a terrible first half. He puts his finger in J.J. McCarthy's chest. He says, "You are going to lead this team back to win this game." And he said the look in his eyes was exceptional. And I know it was because they showed a close-up before the game started. He's standing in the tunnel and they do a slow zoom in on the face of Jonathan James. And you look into his eyes and you saw a stone-cold killer, an assassin, a beast, a demigod, a man who was ready to take the field in his hometown of Chicago, Illinois, and send all these clown Bears fans home with the same thought they have every time they go home after a game for the last 40 years. Same old Bears, because they ain't getting it done. They ain't getting it done today. They ain't going to get it done next week, and they damn sure ain't going to get it done when we play them again in week 12 or 13 or whatever it is. I saw the look in his eyes, and I knew that was the look Kevin O'Connell was talking about when he said he put his finger in his chest, and he saw the look in his eyes was exceptional. I saw that. And then Aaron Jones goes on a podcast after the game, which is a weird choice, but he goes on, maybe it was like a radio show. I don't know. But he goes on somewhere and he says they are down. End of the third quarter. He's thrown the pick six. Everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong in this game. They are losing this game. There is no reason, there's no logical reason to have hope that this kid in his first start at 22 years of age is going to lead this team back. And he looks around the huddle. He looks every man in the eye and he smiles and he says, "Where else would you rather be?" And Aaron Jones said, "Oh my God." And that's when he knew. That's when they all knew that this kid was about to go absolutely nuclear. The mythology of Jonathan James McCarthy has reached professional football, and everybody in the league, your Eagles, the Green Bay Packers, the only team that knows is Chicago, and oh, baby, do they know. Because the fans, the radio people, the TV people, they are melting down today because deep down, deep in their body, in their soul, in their loins, they understand that they fucked up taking Caleb Williams. They fucked up because they could have taken any one of these guys. And they would have been better taking any one of these guys except maybe Bo Nix because I don't know if they had the right system for him. But they fucked up. They could have taken Penix. They would have been better off. They could have taken Drake May. They could have taken Jay Daniels, had a monster rookie year, best rookie year for a quarterback in NFL history. But they should have taken Jonathan James. They should have taken the local kid from LaGrange Park, Illinois, the suburbs of Chicago, grew up with the Brian Urlacher jersey, the very first game he ever went to as a kid as a 4-year-old in 2007. Adrian Peterson ran for 224, returned a kickoff, 60-something yards, had his pants pulled down on live TV to set up the game-winning field goal, and he was there for that. And last night, Monday Night Football, Week 1, 2025, he was there when Jonathan James McCarthy led the Minnesota Vikings to one of the most beautiful comebacks I have ever seen, one of the most beautiful football games I have ever seen. And everyone did their part. The defense was fantastic. There was one drive where it was getting a little touch and go. They couldn't get Caleb on the ground to save their lives, but the pass rush was humming. All last year, the interior defensive line of the Minnesota Vikings had 41 pressures, the interior defensive line. Last night, new offseason additions, former Pro Bowlers Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave had a combined 13 pressures in one game. Just those two guys. That paid off. You draft Donovan Jackson in the first round. You sign Ryan Kelly. You sign Will Fries. What happens? Donovan Jackson, 0 pressures allowed. Ryan Kelly, second highest graded player on offense in the game. Everyone's doing their part. The Vikings, they went into the offseason with a plan. We got to address the interior lines. We got to get better. What do I say every week, every year, Caesar? You got to be nasty in the trenches. You got to be mean in the trenches, and you need beef. You need beef to protect. You need beef to protect the one. Jonathan James McCarthy in the fourth quarter, the first ever in his first game. 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown in the fourth quarter of his very first game. The only quarterback in NFL history other than J.J. McCarthy to do what he did, to erase a double-digit deficit in the fourth quarter of his very first start, Hall of Fame Super Bowl MVP Steve Young. This is what he's doing. This is who this guy is. And people can sit here and act like, oh, we got to see more. It's just one game. It is what it is. He's a handoff merchant, Caesar. That's what they said. Well, guess what happened when they stopped handing it off on first and second down on every drive and they let the kid rip? And don't get me wrong, Jordan Mason was ripping them off in that fourth quarter. Jordan Mason set it off Jada Pinkett. I'm not going to sit here and disrespect Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason played a huge part. He had a monster blitz pickup on that first touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson. But J.J. McCarthy, with the mind, the intangibles, the shit that you can't measure, that the scouts say you can't measure it, so we're not going to factor it into the equation. It's not more important than the arm talent. You can't measure it. The analytics can't measure the intangible factors. It was those intangibles that made the team believe. It was the intangibles that led everyone in that huddle to say, this kid's going to fucking lead us back in this game. And that's exactly what he did. 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, 2 touchdown passes, and the rush, oh my God, the play call, tremendous. Read option play, he runs out and you're like, oh, he's going to get the first down. He gets the first down, he hits him with a little stutter step. He lowers his helmet and it's like, he ain't going out of bounds. He ain't going on the ground. He's getting in the end zone. There is no fiber in his being right now that thinks, maybe I won't get in and we'll live to see first and goal. He don't want no first and goal. He wants the 6, and he got the 6. And they gave him the game ball, and this dude was so fired up in the locker room. Like, everyone's cheering, oh, Miles Price gets a game ball, and Javon Hargrave gets a game ball, and Will Reichard gets a game, and everyone's cheering, yeah, big win, we got it. J.J. McCarthy gets the game ball, he comes in, let's fucking go! And the roof came off the locker room. They're going to have to do renovations at Soldier Field. He literally tore the roof off of the locker room when he said, let's fucking go. And I'm talking about everybody on that team blew their minds because now everyone who watched that game, you stayed up to watch it. Our boy Tanner fell asleep. But the people that were fortunate enough, smart enough to stick through to the end, that watched that game, they now know to some small extent what I have known from the beginning, that Jonathan James McCarthy is the truth. And he ain't going nowhere. The Vikings are serious fucking business. That defense is serious. And they were top 5 last year, and they only got better. Justin Jefferson, best in the business. Aaron Jones, Pro Bowl running back. Guess what? You go out and add Jordan Mason. He was the leading rusher in the league through 7 games last year until Christian McCaffrey came back. Great in blitz pickup. Absolute hammerhead running the ball. You improve the interior offensive line. The rookie, 0 pressures allowed. Ryan Kelly, second highest graded offensive player in the interior. Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, like I said, 13 pressures from the interior in 1 game for an interior defensive line that only had 41 pressures in 17 games last year. All the new additions. Eric Wilson comes off the bench because Blake Cashman gets hurt. Eric Wilson blocks a punt, has 5 tackles and 2 tackles for loss off the bench. I'm telling you, sleep on McCarthy at your own peril. I've given you a year and a half of warning of what is about to happen, what is about to be unleashed on the professional football world. And we saw just a glimpse, just a little taste of what's coming week after week. It was, I've never been more proud of my team in my life than watching them respond to this kid take the fucking reins at 22 years old. This kid was less than 1 year old when I first started watching football at a diehard level. And now he's my quarterback, and I'm repping him. I'll rep him till I die. 9 to 18 all day, every day, every week. He ain't stopping until the Lombardi is on display in Minneapolis, baby. And that's all I got to say about that.
I guess it will be one of those questions. Where were you when the legend of J.J. McCarthy started?
I didn't know this until, and again, I'm the J.J. McCarthy fanatic. I know every piece of mythology. I know you know how he wears like the eye black?
Yeah.
The only time he doesn't wear the eye black is when they play Ohio State. because of he grew up an Ohio State fan, and they chose not to sign him, and they went with Kyle McCord. How'd that work out for you? And so he chose to go to Michigan solely to stick it to Ohio State. And then he doesn't wear the eye black against Ohio State because he, quote, wants Ryan Day to see his face when he whoops his ass. I know every bit of mythology on this kid, and I didn't know this until 2 days ago. He is, if every quarterback in Division I football history, he has the highest winning percentage of any quarterback in the history of D1 football. Just win, baby, and that's what JJ does.